This week on Media Delta, The Road to El Dorado. Is this a fun, buddy romp film with extremely horny energy? Or an overproduced animated movie that uses vague backdrops of actual cultures in a slightly problematic way? Both. Both is good. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Media Delta. We have a fun one this week. During the that large stream I did, that marathon stream I did, where we had the wheel of various Media Delta things, we covered a very interesting looking adventure game based on a particular movie. And that movie, the movie that it was based on, was The Road to El Dorado, which was a 2000s DreamWorks production, animated production that um, actually apparently did not do well, uh, which is kind of a shame, but it's it had a cast that was pretty good for the time, I guess. Like it had like Kenneth Branagh and Kevin Kline, Rosie Perez, Edward James Olmos. So it had some pretty decent actors behind it, but apparently it just didn't do that particularly well. But it's kind of a cult classic because it is a very high production value movie that is kind of well received. And to kind of talk about this, I was not the only one who watched this, so please introduce yourself in alphabetical order.
Hi, I'm Axe, and I'm here for white saviorism.
I am, of course, Deathmaster780.
I'm Risen. I have opinions about Jeffrey Katzenberg, I guess.
I'm Torpid Typist, and thick thighs save lives.
Yes.
That was worth waiting for.
Yes. So yeah, it's great. I love Google, and when I type in the Road to El Dorado, it gives me everything but the Wikipedia article that I was looking for. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So I guess to kind of go through this, got a more abbreviated version of the questions this week, but I think we can kind of go in depth to some of these, so we'll still have plenty to talk about. So, Axe, what was your general impressions? Is there any particular elements you would like to bring up?
Well, to basically give Torpid that information he wanted so bad, I like this movie a lot. I watched it twice, and it's bizarre. It's a conflicting film for me because I liked it a lot, but you know what I actually thought of while watching it and thinking about the plot is Far Cry 3. It has
yeah.
Go on.
Well, both of them are about white saviorism in particular.
These main characters are actually decent.
Yeah, no,
Not decent people, but decent characters.
Yeah, no, like the characters in Far Cry 3 are terrible, but I mean, like the characters in the movie are exciting. They're fun. This movie is just really beautiful to look at. Just
Also, the musical numbers are actually really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's I guess where we're gonna have to disagree.
How dare you?
Thought all the songs fell flat. I didn't like any of the songs, to be honest. I loved the animation. I loved the facial animations on the characters are just brimming with personality and expressions. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous film. And
I will say, like, in the nicest way possible, it was incredibly over animated.
Yes.
It was.
Yeah.
Was. Like, particular
$95 million worth of over animated.
because I was going to make my particular element the songs, but I got that out of the way. So what the particular element I want to bring up is a very brief moment, and it's when Chell is basically going super horny on Tulio, and Tulio is reciprocating, and he says to her he wants her to come with him and Miguel, and the particular moment is the look on Chell's face, the expression, the way they animated that specific moment was just had more. It was just phenomenal. I think that's one of the most standout moments in it. Is just how very subtly her expression changes, but it's just so impactful.
Look, let me tell you about this quintessential
Quintessential.
bisexual thruple.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Quintessential.
Quintessential bisexual thruple.
We're a thruple.
Quintessexual is a very good way of describing this movie.
It's a
She
quintessexual
touched
film.
his penis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, to go on to something that actually you mentioned, there is something that there, especially about expressions, that I noticed that this movie does really well
Yeah.
is mouths. Like especially Chell's mouth during that segment.
Chell is lovingly animated.
Yes, she is.
Lovingly animated. But just the dialogue is great. The entire intro sequence between Miguel and Tulio when they're, going back and forth to try to get away from the crowd. Just there's so many great moments, and then there's also some unfortunate stuff. So it's a really great film that also has to contend with some really piss poor views of things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've got.
All right. Death.
Well, after that glowing review, I thought it was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, well, like, it's, if I didn't know it was DreamWorks, which is kind of obvious from the humor, but I would have just mistaken it for like a Disney film. Just fitting because this came out the same year as The Emperor's New Groove.
Yep.
It has
I'll
mostly
say
the
this
same
Mm-hmm.
animation style and setting.
$95 million budget.
Mm.
And it only made back $76 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, I don't think it's a bad movie, but just nothing really stuck with me.
Okay. That it?
Yeah.
Okay. Risen.
I mean, from like a technical aspects, I think the movie is very well done. One thing that was childishly pointed out, but is actually a good point, is that like Cortez's head looks like a penis. And very distinct silhouette. Like it's kind of like the TF2 where like, oh, you need the silhouette of each character to look good and like easily teleportable, and like everyone has like a different body shape, a different facial shape, like, and that helps again with like the animation that we talked about, is it lets people, like, it lets each person have a very distinct person. The way that like Tulio looks surprised is different from the way that Miguel looks surprised, for example.
Yes.
But yeah, Cortez was a dick, so
Yes.
Yeah, Pingy.
Any other thing you like? How you like the movie in general?
I mean, I loved it as a kid. I thought the armadillo was cool. I think the armadillo I think it's bold to have two animal sidekicks. There's Altivo the horse and the armadillo. So
Armadillo was more of a plot device than like sidekick.
No, he appeared
'cause
all
it's
over the
pretty
place,
much-
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't really do much. It's just like he would show up in the backgrounds and he was part of the game.
Well,
Like,
the
that was
horse
about
was
it.
the horse
I
was
mean,
the
he's
same.
following them through the jungle for the Trails We Blaze song.
Yeah.
And the horse didn't do a whole lot either. The horse was mostly
The
just
horse
there
was
to
there for character.
yeah.
Yes.
The horse is basically the straight man of the film.
Giggity.
Pretty much.
And I mean, like, now as an adult, I can understand the issues of the white savior kind of plot, the greater context of DreamWorks and their, well, just like a lot of the childish humor and like the sex stuff and everything is very much just Katzenberg being like, this is something Disney would never do, so I'm gonna put it in the film. So
And to be fair, fuck Disney.
yeah. I mean,
Disney would
no saint, so it would be good if they both went away.
Disney would hide it in like the
The
background,
clouds.
or the grass, or a pillar.
Or the justice, or like the Pope, just doing the wedding. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or the VHS box cover.
Mhm.
yeah, the pillar.
Yep. Yeah. because I was gonna say I was just trying to go through my head of like because the other movie that came out like we mentioned it, The Emperor's New Groove, kind of a similar in some distinct ways, but yeah, that would definitely not fly in that movie.
Mm-mm.
The
No,
most you get is the scene where Yzma lifts up her skirt to reveal a dagger, and Kuzco and Pacha both look on in disgust because they think she's trying to like flash them or
Trying to seduce us.
yeah.
yes,
Whereas in this, she definitely touched that man's dick.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was an interesting movie to come out when I turned 13.
Refer back to my previous statement on why I'm here.
Yes. I forgot what I was gonna say. So yeah, did you have any other thoughts?
No, I think we'll get to some of the other stuff as we continue on with the questions. I guess Torpo.
Yep. Torpo.
I really enjoy this movie. I still enjoy this movie to this day. Like, yes, there are definitely some problematic elements, but I still think it's a really enjoyable movie. Like, just a lot of fun, in spite of that. But,
Yeah.
Also, God, it's fucking horny as hell.
Yes.
That's not a complaint on my part. It doesn't bug me in the slightest, really. But it's still amusing.
There is a very sexual energy in the
A
movie.
palpable thirst.
It's not gross about it though, is the thing. It's not immature or gross about it. It treats it just kind of like a thing that is there. It's a natural, normal part of
I have to wait for Shrek next year for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please no. Yeah, no.
Horny
So
Shrek.
also the thing I keep joking about she touched his penis, is because at one point, Tulio and Chell were starting to get pretty hot and heavy. And then a guard walks in to inform them about Miguel fucking around in town. And from the way they pop up and from where they pop up, it's very obvious where and what Shell is doing.
Extremely obvious.
Yeah.
It's really good. Also, once again, all of them end up together. Powerful bisexual throuple.
And their horse.
Mm-hmm.
And their horse. The horse is
Yes.
good people.
Yes.
Trusted friend and confidant horse.
Does not know what a pry bar is, but can get the job done.
Yeah.
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 It's a horse that can help the rogue.
Look,
Yes.
the horse knew what's up. The horse didn't need the pry bar, it gave the fucking keys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It skipped the step. I mean, the pry bar would have been loud and taken forever. Keys.
So if Miguel is the bard and Tulio's a rogue, is Altivo the druid?
Hmm.
An Equimancer just trapped as a horse, my god.
Yes. Is there any other thing you want to mention?
Oh god, I have so much I want to mention. So some of the stuff I'll save for the next question, because there's including some of the musical stuff, because there's actually a very big name involved with the music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which we can get with yeah, we could probably start with that. Actually, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say, I really enjoy this movie. Like
I didn't finish.
well, I think it's gonna. Well, is there anything other? Because I think the music. Yeah, I think the music will go in with the next question. So, is there
I was
anything
going
else?
to mention the characters.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because that's not actually a question this time. I'm informing everyone. Fucking peeling back the curtain for once. Lolo's not having us talk about the characters because he's a piece of shit.
We usually talk about them in this segment anyway.
Yeah, well, also because the second and third ones are nothing to do with those.
Yep.
So,
Go
Mhm.
ahead.
Finish your thought, Torpid.
fuck you! Eat my ass! Fuck off! So what I was gonna say is, because nobody's actually really clarified here. There are essentially four main characters involved here. One of which who only gets introduced about a quarter of the way into the film, which is Chell. Excuse me, Chell. But yeah, so you've got Miguel and Tulio, who are a couple of shysters. who, when trying to get away from, let's say, just basically Spanish cops, end up getting stuck on a boat, caught, and then thrown into the brig, then dragged up. Then they get themselves out and get away on a boat. Fuck that up. Also bring the horse, who is the third character, because the horse is really a character. Let's be real here. The horse actually does a lot and is there for a lot, and it brings a weird amount of character to the film.
I wasn't
the horse-
joking when I said he's the straight man.
Yeah, the horse is essentially he was Cortez's horse up until he fucked off, and abandoned all for the sake of an apple. All he wanted was that apple. But yeah, so yada yada. They follow the map they stole off of someone. With
They
a
won
pair
in
of
a
loaded
dice game.
dice. They won
By
it
cheating.
with loaded dice.
Well, no,
Yeah,
they won the
which is why
map
cops were after
fairly.
them.
No, they won a bunch with loaded dice, and then the final bet was one with normal dice.
Right,
Yep.
yeah. The map
And they-
itself they won fairly, but the rest of the gains they got were done unfairly.
Yes. Also, they like the first thing you see of the two characters is a wanted poster. So
Mhm.
Yes.
they have definitely been doing this for a while. Also, I do want to point out that the Cortez being in this movie is one, something we'll come across later. Two, it's interesting their portrayal of him in this movie because it's Jim Cummings who is doing the voice of Cortez in this movie, and they basically have him be Saddam Robotnik, like the most evil thing that you possibly can get. Like they have him essentially doing the evil Robotnik voice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not far off, really.
I mean, yeah.
Cortez sucks.
I mean, Cortez did really suck, but still.
Yeah. Also, I feel mentioning that. So all of the things that happen early in the film really showcase who Tulio and Miguel are really fucking well. So, like, first off, there's obviously them scamming people with the dice, and then when they get caught by the cops, they start a play fight to get away by distracting everyone.
They basically start blaming each other and draw swords on each other to, climb up to the roof.
This animated Monkey Island fight.
It was
Yeah.
straight up a fucking Monkey Island fight, like fucking insults, retorts, and everything.
You fight like my sister. That's a compliment. I fought your sister.
Like that specific exchange I thought was just really, really good. It's just I don't want to say the word brilliant, but it was just fantastic.
And I will say this movie is actually very good at calling back to things, like mention of like Chell not long after she meets them straight up calls them out on the loaded dice that she found, because Chell is also a fucking shyster. It makes it very apparent very quickly, because they found her trying to steal a golden head from the temple before getting caught.
And she leaves El Dorado, which I thought was a weird decision.
Well, she wanted to get out, period. Like, she wanted to go
She'd
see
been
the
planning to
world.
leave, yeah,
Mm.
and she'd been planning to leave from the get-go. It just wasn't for her.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that,
He
now with
also
Tulio
craves
Miguel,
adventure.
yeah,
More than adventure.
penis.
Yep.
But no, Chell's an incredibly fun character, honestly. And also very sexually aggressive.
Yes.
Because she is the one who starts immediately putting the moves on Tulio, and it's magical. Especially, this is directly after Tulio Miguel said, "Do not touch Chell."
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But Chell is off limits.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then just
that-
immediately, Tulio and Chell get together.
Yes.
God, I forgot where I was going with that. Huh. But yeah, just in general, those four main characters dominate most of it. There's also the chief of this unnamed
City.
Mesoamerican. Yeah, this
They-
unnamed city.
it's great because they refer to it themselves as El Dorado.
Yeah,
like
which
this-
is weird.
Which
for
makes no
reasons.
sense because it's Spanish.
Yeah.
We will get to that.
He's a cool dude. super super chill, wants to be buddy buddy with Miguel, doesn't like the head priest.
For
The
good
head
reason.
priest is very evil, like blatantly evil, and that's part of problem with the messaging of this film.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I thought was interesting is it's heavily hinted, if not outright said, that the chief knows that Miguel is not truly a god.
Yeah.
Especially during the boat scene when he approaches Miguel saying, "Do you really want to leave? Like, you can
Yeah.
stay."
Mhm.
And when he says to err is human, it just kind of gives him that look. It's just like, yeah, he knows.
Yeah, because Miguel just said, "Oh, I made a mistake."
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
The chief was definitely savvy, but
He's definitely using them to consolidate political power against the priest.
yeah. Also, there was a bit that they're apparently like uh it was them being an outsider that did not want to destroy their land was also something that he was apparently like that is a reading into why he was dealing or like willing to put up with their shtick.
Yeah, because they were trying to, at the very least, Miguel was trying to make things better with the against the priest.
But yes,
Mm.
for political power, probably.
but yeah, no, it just so those were really the only two characters. Like Cortez is talked about at the beginning and at the end, and doesn't really do much.
Cortez in this movie essentially is the Twister in the movie Twister. It is a thing that happens, but it is important to the plot, but also might as well be just a physical object.
Yeah. He could be any natural disaster, and roughly the plot could stay the same.
And like they really build up his arrival to El Dorado, and then it just sort of just kind of resolve
Never
everything.
arrives.
No,
Yeah, so that's the other. Hmm?
he arrives, but he doesn't do anything because they resolved it by burying the entrance.
Yeah, because basically they've been like having this like occasionally shots of him going through the jungle. And then also the priest had this sweet book with lovely paper
Mhm.
and beautiful drawings on it.
Yeah.
Of the Dreamswork logo.
Yeah, of the Dreamswork logo, and also a war god who looked like Cortez. So at the very end, when he wants to get his revenge on the city, he goes to Cortez, and then nothing comes of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ending is kind of yeah.
The problem is the movie felt like it didn't know how it wanted to end.
Yeah.
The thing that I was thinking about it is that one of the things that I was reading up on how this movie got made, and the one of the main writers for this movie were inspired by the old Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Row 2 movies,
Mhm.
which were always just things would return to normal afterwards. So it feels like it is kind of almost like a not quite a status quo thing, but it's almost like a reset. Like they're kind of back to they're in a position to return to what they were doing beforehand.
Ah, yes. So they're no longer, but now, no longer are they a gay couple, but they're a bisexual throuple with a horse.
Yes.
You just really like saying that.
It's really fun because I hate it.
Mhm.
And it's accurate.
It is
Yes.
one of the
Uh-huh.
very few, aside from say, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith.
Possibly, yes.
No, not possibly.
Uh
So Lil,
it-
doing the ranking of thruples.
uh, I'm gonna
No,
if I
that's
say the
perfect.
thought, if I
Fucking
say the
threw
thought
him.
on my head, that will be a tangent, and let's continue moving
Just
on.
no, I think I've meandered enough at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah. So basically, my thought is I really enjoyed this movie. I saw like the last time I actually saw this movie was actually probably close to when it came out. I might have watched it on like DVD, like maybe like 5 or so years after it originally came out. But it's been a while since I've watched it, and I was really enjoying myself this time. Like, it is a movie that still holds up. Um, the writing is phenomenal. Like the production is phenomenal, and just it is to me a phenomenal movie. That it didn't take me until about, let's say, 90% of the movie to realize, huh, there's some things about this movie, if you think about it too hard, make this movie weird.
Yeah, no, it was
Mhm.
great. Because it was because we like watched it yesterday, and then today I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be real weird talking about that white savior shit, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, it's like this is a fun movie. It's also incredibly problematic.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
That's why I brought up Far Cry 3.
Yes.
It's the Far Cry 3 of DreamWorks movies, basically.
I mean, of
Yeah.
those later game Far Cry, it's better than, at least it's not 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bad guy was right all along.
Ants
Yeah.
is
The
the
bad
Far
guy
Cry
was the white
5 of
savior.
DreamWorks.
Okay.
What?
So I feel like we've kind of talked about it, we can go a little bit more into depth. But yeah, Torpo, how'd you feel about this movie's production quality?
You could feel that $95 million. Holy shit!
You could hear that $95 million.
Yeah, how much of that movie's budget was getting Elton John?
No shit. Yeah, because music done by Elton John. Gotta mention that. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was great.
mean, after Lion King.
Yeah, it was great because it's like the first time that I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this was a musical, and then it's like, oh right, this is an Elton John musical.
Well, it was great because I didn't realize it at first, and then the one of the songs started playing, and the caption said blank by Elton John starts playing. Like, oh yeah,
yeah.
that fucking makes sense.
Oh, I
Mhm.
understand now. It's fucking Elton John, and I mean, it showed the music was really good. Honestly, I really enjoyed the musical bits, and like I don't normally enjoy those that much. So
It was- the thing about it is that it does the music in this is very much a Disney musical style. Like you have the uh God, there was a really good Twitter thread that I remember a while ago that there are really only like I think it was like 10 different types of like in a musical, you can boil down every song in a musical to one of like 8 types. And this had like all of them. You had your title one, you had the montage song, you had the uh silly things happen song, or like the debauchery song. You
You
had
had the Miguel and Tulio's kind of villain song.
Yeah, you had the bad things are like the sad thing is happening now,
Mm-hmm.
and then I forgot the other, but it hits like those notes.
yeah, no, actually, I feel it worth mentioning now. Actually, going back to it, yeah, at one point Miguel gets very jealous of Chell, and it's kind of magical.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there also is the thing where he basically is like basically just blows him off straight off.
She
Like
blows
just
him off straight off. Yeah,
Blowjob.
yeah. But no, it was like forget Miguel and just uh let's bone and have the
hell
horse
yeah.
watch us because he definitely does.
The horse likes to watch. It's fine.
I mean, because like the line with that really sells that it's something dirty is Tulio's like, I don't know if I can trust you about Miguel, and Shell's response is, I'm not asking you to trust me.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that line.
Yeah. So going back to it,
Mm-hmm.
musical bits very good. Just really, really enjoyable in my opinion, at least. Also, to go alongside the fucking music, the visuals in this movie were absolutely incredible. You could see that $95 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean it seriously when I say everything is over animated, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Like there's just so much fluid motion to everything. It just animates so naturally and beautifully. It's so good, so good. And that includes the musical sequences. Everything to follow them, it just goes along perfect with music. And like
Also,
even hmm?
it was like just to point out that when it made 90 or when it made 76 million back out of its 95. That's worldwide.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, that US
Mhm.
was 50. So yeah, it definitely did not make its money back.
which is a shame. But regardless, yeah, no. It even uses CGI, and it's definitely early CGI, but I still feel like it actually worked pretty well.
I think the thing that makes that CGI work is that it's very small things. Like it's like the
Mhm.
barrels are CGI that are they're done in a way that it almost looks painted. Like it's definitely lower quality, but it's the kind that unless you're really looking at it, it won't be that bad.
Yeah, I
Even
didn't
when you
even
look at it,
notice.
though, it's not that bad. Like it actually looks perfectly fine.
I
Also
didn't
helps
even
that a lot
notice
of
any
the
CGI.
yeah, a lot of CGI is actually very detailed. They use it for a lot of detail work actually, which is I feel like
Mhm.
helps it
Like
look better.
I think the one that example like I can think of is like the ships, I believe, were CGI.
Yeah.
Even the barrels were super detailed.
Like with the crane and everything, moving the barrels that Miguel and Tulio are hiding in was very well done.
Yeah. So like even the CGI is actually aged pretty well, which is surprising. But yeah, so in general, like the production value definitely shines, and you can definitely see it and feel it, and I really feel like that helps make this such a good movie. It just wouldn't be the same otherwise, because just like everything is lovingly animated, everything, but like
Mhm.
especially the people, the way they move, each person moves uniquely. Their faces are painstakingly animated. It's good.
It's actually kind of funny because it actually ties in with the thing our next question. But it was kind of weird because I was thinking, I was like, yeah, it looks like the people of that village were kind of like like their facial structure looked kind of weird. Then I remembered everyone in this movie kind of looks kind of weird.
Mhm.
Miguel is super goofy looking.
Yeah, like if I remember, like he almost is like Hey Arnold level of head weird shape. Not quite that to that extent, but it's getting there.
Also,
Mhm.
they like Miguel in particular has very loose clothing, and God, they animate the fuck out of it. But also, I will say the most lovingly animated thing in that movie is Chell, far and
Yes.
away.
Far and away.
Yeah. Um,
It's really great when she's giving them advice on how to hit the ball with their hip. It's
Mm.
like, I see where the money went.
yeah.
It's gonna be fun when the DreamWorks, like the head animator for that movie, dies and they break open his desk and they find just tons of drawings of Shell.
Crack open the porn vault.
Yeah.
Also, the one thing that also because she's dressed rather like she's basically just like essentially a tube top in like a long loincloth thing. I don't know exactly what to refer to it as. No, like upskirt or anything, but also
Nope.
because it's probably a kids' film. Like nothing like that.
Yeah,
Technically a kid's film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
surprisingly tasteful in that regard.
like it is scantily, but also not that bad. But then again, everyone it is a village that does not have our dress, so it actually is not that bad.
It's true, the Chiefs knit game is on point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's everything I have to say.
All right. Risen.
Um, I think one of the things that stood out the most with the songs is that when Tulio and Miguel are singing to deter, like, as they decide to play along and be gods, it sounds a lot more like a Disney's villain song than, say, the protagonists, which works well as them being two con men who are conning an entire city into thinking that they are gods. It has a good level of menace to it, and a lot of the visuals tend to favor like a darker palette in the background against like the brighter colors of like fire or them and their clothes.
Yeah, they do make it very apparent very quickly that these are not good people.
Mm-hmm.
So they're there to steal the gold.
They're a couple of shysters, yeah. It's great.
They are at that moment very much trying to steal a shit ton of gold so they can go back to Spain and live like kings.
Yeah.
Um, is it one of the only songs where it's not Elton John singing?
Uh, yeah. I think they're. Yeah, I think that is the only one in which they are singing.
No, they also sing during the It's Tough to Be a God thing.
No, that's what we're talking about. Or
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's tough to be a god, and I think maybe a little bit of a different song, but not a whole lot.
yeah, because otherwise it's the singing narrator, as he's referred to in the credits, Elton John.
Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, anything else that you'd like to bring up?
No, I think that's all that I wanted to touch on. We talked about a lot of stuff, so not too much time. So, DM, I guess.
Okay. All right, Def.
This is one of the best looking Disney knockoffs I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's probably pretty up there with like in terms of Western animated movies, like outdoing Disney. I think that this is
Yeah.
probably one of the ones that I think have pretty much done it.
Mm-hmm.
Because for most of their library, DreamWorks has been a Pixar knockoff using that style animation. This is like one of the few times they went with like the traditional hand drawn stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold on to that thought for a moment until I get a confirmation.
It wasn't the first ones they did because they had done Prince of Egypt 2
Yeah, I
years
was about
earlier.
to look up because I think
Mhm.
Prince of Egypt was also it's another one that I think of like really gorgeously animated movie. Like I think I have not seen it in a while, but I believe that one is probably a little more technically impressive. But this one, this is my much better movie
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or much more enjoyable movie. Um, yeah, is there anything else you want to mention?
No, not really.
Okay, Max.
Huh, man. I mean, yeah, like Torpid said, like we've all basically said, you can feel and you can see and hear the production quality, and it's an absolute shame this movie didn't make back what they put into it. Because I mean, like I said, when they first get into El Dorado, it's just scene after scene of just gorgeous animation. I mean, the animation was gorgeous before, but it's bright, it's vibrant. There's tons of stuff to look at in every single scene. Um, and the writing, give and take, but when the writing's really good, it's extremely good. The banter that they have during their escape at the start of the movie, fantastic. Uh, animations is like Torpid said is over animated, but in a really really good way. And like I was mentioning at the start, it's just there's so much personality in everyone from the human characters to the animal characters, especially the horse. And it's just yeah, that budget shines through in pretty much every single thing. I will reiterate though that I just didn't like the music numbers. I liked the animation during those scenes, but I didn't like the actual songs themselves.
Just out of curiosity, because I wonder if it has anything to do with it. Are you a fan of Elton John normally?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
like Elton John. I love his numbers from The Lion King a lot, and I like his regular work as well. It's just these didn't feel they felt kind of flat and muted to me.
I can definitely see that. Like
Mm-hmm.
of
Most of
it
the
being
songs didn't stick with me,
yeah.
Yeah.
other than like the main theme.
They didn't pop. Like you listen to I Can't Wait to Be he didn't do I Can't Wait to Be King.
Can feel
Can you
can you
feel the
feel
love
the love
tonight?
tonight?
Yeah, yeah. Listen to that. That song has a pop to it. Like even though it's a ballad, it still stands out.
It's a pop ballad.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the only song I would think I get stuck in my head, which I did actually get stuck in my head a little bit, is the title theme.
Yeah,
But
Circle of Life. That song too has a pop to it that just kind of it's I don't know how else to explain it. It just the songs didn't stick up like Tulio did
Mm-hmm.
for Chell. But yeah,
okay.
that's what I got.
Okay. Yeah, the one thing that I kind of briefly alluded to that I kind of want to bring up is the voice cast for this, which had an interesting voice cast to it. You had Tulio Miguel are Kevin Kline and Kenan Branagh, respectively. They did good work with this. I mean, I was gonna say is Kevin Kline. Yeah, he's American, so you have an American and Brit playing two Spaniards, which considering the other things in this movie might be something over like that. That's not that's not the, if you're gonna look into that, that's not the thing you probably should look into. Um, you got Rosie
To be
Perez.
fair, they did not attempt to do Spanish accents.
No, they did not.
Thank
Actually,
God.
that is one thing that is actually I, in hindsight, kind of appreciate. No sense, no trying to do accents. Although, yeah, that's I would probably appreciate no accents versus accent.
No
very much.
accents, I think is always better.
Which the one thing that I will say is that for the people who are like for Chell, you have Rosie Perez, who well, Puerto Rican, I think. Yeah, Puerto Rican, who is I mean, you at least get somewhat close to Latin America for it. You
Mhm.
have what is this? I just want to see what his full name is. Armand, let's see, Armand Asante as Checo Khan, the kind of the priest, who unfortunately the only one that I roll that of theirs that I recognize is Rico from the Stallone Judge Dredd movie.
Mm.
I don't think of anything there. Nothing else is really sticking
And
out
that's
to
a
me.
good frame of reference.
Uh, but also, the chief is Edward James Olmos, who see hearing him in a happy role
Yeah.
is really weird.
And
Uh,
personally, I associate him mostly with Gaff from Blade Runner.
yeah, but also, yeah, I was gonna say also Battlestar Galactica and also Miami Vice and what's the other thing I was thinking of?
He's been in a lot of things.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's just weird hearing him as a more happy character this time. He does a really good job of it too. But also we mentioned Jim Cummings as Cortez, who does. I think he also voices another side character, and you hear him do one of his more other Jim's Cummings voices.
He's the
Um,
chef that was like, no, you can't have an apple. You're on half rations.
yep. Then you have Frank Welker as Altivo.
Yeah, Frank Welker's the fucking horse.
Yep.
Yeah,
Very.
Jigsaw.
Yep. Oh yeah. Is it Tobin Bell?
Yeah,
Yeah, Tobin Bell, Jigsaw as the guy at the beginning that had the map. I believe that's who they're supposed
yeah,
to be.
that's
Yeah.
And then the rest are somewhat smaller. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with most of what they've done. Um, Actually, it looks like clicking on their things at IMDb, they are working. They are animation department people. But yeah, I did want to point that out because I did find that was interesting. Um, so,
Also, before we move on to the next one, can we talk for a second how the chief was often smoking stogies?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was weird
Hmm.
because he'd just be holding like it looks like he'd be holding some, but then you realize, oh, that's supposed to be a cigar because
He's just got a fucking cigar.
I guess because it's supposed to be Latin America. Like they mentioned,
I mean,
like
they make
Cuba.
a joke about Cuban cigars.
Yeah,
we're close to Cuba.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, we're about to break into that unfortunate subject, but
Yeah,
yeah. So that's kind of my thought on production quality, at least. So X, um, did the movie somewhat surface level understanding of Mayan slash Nahua slash Musica or
Muisca. I would,
Muisca
I would,
Muisca
I would say.
Muisca culture slash white savior plot impact your enjoyment of this movie?
Yeah, it did. Um, it it's why I said at the beginning it's a very conflicting film because it is a really good film. It's really enjoyable. Very it's very I don't want to say
It has a
upbeat.
nice energy.
Yes, thank you. It has a nice energy to it, but at the same time it buys into a lot of misunderstandings about Maya or Maya adjacent cultures. Um it's very reliant on the white savior trope, which is extremely shitty. Even well before this movie came out, it was a stupid plot point. Um, and even going further, the way the villain of the movie goes out is kind of shittier than just about any of the Disney villain deaths
It's
because
super gross.
he
Mhm.
basically gets taken by Cortez and is going to be enslaved on one of his plantations. it's super shitty. Even though he's the
He's
villain,
also like dragged off screaming too.
yeah,
Yeah.
even for the villain of the movie, it's incredibly just not. It's gross. So it creates a very bizarre, uh, ambivalent feeling about the film, because the first half is just this fantastic and enjoyable, energizing thing, and then the back half of it is kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't think I can say a whole hell of a lot more than that. Far Cry 3. So yeah.
Okay. Def.
So it actually didn't bother me that much, mostly just because of all like the named main characters in that movie. None of them were really fools about it. Like we covered previously, the chief pretty much figured it out, and it was just using them. Chell figured it out pretty early on. Like
Immediately.
the priest's the only one who didn't really catch on for a while. It's because but even then, he was still using them to push his whole blood sacrifice murders plot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he could use actual fucking magic.
Yeah, that's
He
the
could
key
use
to it.
actual
Yes.
magic, which is another
Yeah.
thing that we
Of
could
course, he's a
talk
true
about.
believer. He can summon a giant fucking snake.
Or the Jaguar robot.
Yeah, Jaguar statue.
Yeah.
Mm.
He
Well,
even cut
technically, he
his,
was piloting it. Is it a mech?
he cut his hand open and then healed the wound.
Yeah, just need a little bit of blood out.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is blood. Also, I do really quick, feel worth mentioning, and you should imagine this every time you see that statue, is that he's the one making those movements every time. He
Yeah.
moves with the statue. So any weird thing the statue does, he's doing himself. Like eating a man.
Nom, nom,
He's eating a rat off the floor for that scene.
Tasty.
I mean, there's all.
Now I'm just imagining him in a fucking mocap suit.
He's Andy Serkis. It's Gollum.
Yeah. Those are any other thoughts you had on that?
No, not really. I said there were some more negative stuff like the ending with the priest where he gets dragged off to be a slave. I guess. Like, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Don't worry,
genuinely
kids. You'll learn
uncomfortable.
about this in a few years.
Or maybe you won't. Gotta love our school system.
Like, the
Yeah.
dude is
Yeah.
unlikable, but it was like a genuinely disturbing scene.
Yeah.
Especially after riding the high of saving the people of El Dorado from yourselves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. I guess in that case, Risen.
It definitely falls into the same trap of a lot of white savior plots where it recognizes that there are the bad white people and the good white people. I do appreciate the film both through design, audio, etc., that Cortez is shown to be just an uncompromisingly bad person. And that his immediate reaction to stowaways is, I'm going to enslave you on a sugar plantation in Cuba. But once again, that's just, all the way back to James Fenimore Cooper and everything with The Last of the Mohicans, the idea of the good white people and the bad white people. So, can't really give it too much credit. I'm trying to think. It definitely adds a tarnish to the movie, I guess. As like I said, it was probably one of my favorite movies to watch as a kid. But like, I'm not gonna say it's bad. Like, the film as a whole is bad. It's just like, watch it, enjoy it, recognize these issues. I can't really speak about like too much about like the actual like Mayan, Oaxaca, Mexica culture or anything because I've not studied it. But from what I understand, at the bare minimum is that the blood sacrifice is not like this big evil thing that it was kind of alluded to. But yeah.
Okay. So I guess that brings us to Torpo, unless you had something else.
Yeah, it does. Oh man. Okay, so pretty much everyone's talked about the storytelling elements, and I do feel we're mentioning that even at the very beginning, they are also pieces of shit, and this is made very obvious and very apparent. But and they literally just save these nameless people from essentially the mess they made.
Mm-hmm.
So something to be said for that. But at the end of the day, I will say, I really enjoy this movie. I really do. And I will say, enjoy the movie for what it is, which is just a fun animated feature. Just be aware that there are these problems in the background. Because it's not just the white savior thing that's an issue. So, I guess you could argue it leads into what I'm about to say, but basically, it makes a sort of judgmental pass at this culture based on stereotypes. That's a bit of an issue, more than a bit, some might say. Because so first off, I'm going to give you a bit of background here. History is written by the victors. This is
Mhm.
important to remember. The Spanish destroyed many of the Mesoamerican tribes. This is also important to remember. The Spanish, in an effort to justify what they did and their stealing of any sort of wealth or land or anything, wrote them off as a bunch of savages, including that sacrifice thing. So there were, especially with some groups more than others, there were definitely human sacrifices, but it wasn't some blood for the blood god shit. And they were also pretty rare, especially and also many times sacrifices were just animal sacrifices, the usual shit.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and so a lot of groups tended also to just in general be softer on sacrifices. Um and not really do that whole thing. I know the Maya didn't. Most of my familiarity actually comes from the Maya, but I got to see a Maya co-op. I bought some obsidian jewelry. Uh Hi, I'm incredibly white. But just in general, there's a lot of things. And so it's already operating off of that idea that there's all these human sacrifices. The idea that the priest is fucking bloodthirsty and willing to
Yeah.
kill at the drop of a hat, which is also very weird. It's essentially making this pass at their entire religion, saying it's a bad thing, and that the people are what matters more. Which, I mean, people do matter, but also it's very judgmental about it.
You get into the issue that the white savior plot is not just that Tulio and Miguel save the city, they also teach them
How to
about
truly be.
gods.
Mm.
Yeah. It's basically like, oh yeah, the way that you've lived your whole lives is wrong. Here we are to teach you the true way to live, the proper way to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to be fair, in the context of this movie, a lot of it is also the chief consolidating power from under the priest because he genuinely does not like the priest
Yeah.
at all.
For good
Which is-
reason.
Yeah, for good reason. But also that's its own issue, but let's not worry about that here.
No.
My point is that the sacrifice thing is largely overblown, and also it is like the central crux of the issue with the priest, which is very dumb in and of itself. On top of that, there's the old Mesoamerican ball game, which greatly misunderstood something, and which I'll mention, which is basically the losers weren't killed. They weren't. If it was done as sort of like a ritual thing, a celebratory thing, it was the winners who would then be sacrificed, and it was a huge honor. It wasn't like some punishment. Like, I'm not here, it's not my place to say whether sacrifices of any sort are right or wrong in this regard. Like, making a pass at cultures like that. I mean, it's not my place. But my point is, it wasn't some sort of punishment or like big horrible thing. It was more of a celebration than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you want to send the weaker ones to the gods, really? But yeah, I don't know. It was great too, because before this there was a big discussion actually about all of this beforehand in the chat, because it was a bit of a thing. I'm kind of sad that Carnival isn't here actually, because he's a bit more knowledgeable. As I said, my knowledge mostly comes from my experience with the Maya, but it's honestly basically what I have to say on it. Just in general, it's a good fun movie, but it would also be wrong to forget these things as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it also doesn't in my opinion at least, hamper my enjoyment of the movie. I still think it's a fun film. It's just important to remember that it is just a film and it is purely fiction. And
Yeah.
just be aware of these prejudices.
Yep.
It's important to remember that the real El Dorado is a small community of like 1,000 people or something in Wisconsin.
The real El Dorado was the friends we made along the way.
The real
Oh,
the real El Dorado was a really good concept album.
Also, it's important to remember that like the various Mesoamerican tribes aren't some sort of lost people.
Yeah.
I mean, a Spanish population interbred with a number of them, especially the Aztecs. But like they're still alive and well. There's still like a bunch of different languages spoken among them. The Maya are still alive. Quite as I said, I personally visited a Maya co-op. Just absolutely lovely people. And to support themselves in their way of life, they were selling various jewelry made out of actually a very special obsidian that's only local to that area. It has a certain sheen to it. I forget but that's just rambling. My point is, they're not some lost peoples. They're not some hidden tribes. They're very much alive and well today and still exist. And it's important to remember this too. They're not some cultures that fucking disappeared, much as the Spanish tried to fucking kill them. Because the Spanish were goddamn monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fuck Cortez.
Fuck Cortez, but fuck any of the conquistadors.
Yeah. Fuck Columbus.
Fuck Columbus, yes.
By Columbus. Rename Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, that's just the point I'm making is that don't forget that these are very much stereotypes that still exist, like because the Spanish history is written by the victors, and the Spanish wrote some real shit. And important to remember that these people are still alive and well today, and try not to forget them. Don't think of them as some mythical people gone to time.
Yeah. They are people with a culture that, while tried to be destroyed, still kind of exists. And this is playing on that, but kind of. I think kind of what I wanted to bring up from this is just basically kind of I said Maya slash Nahua because they don't explicitly say what group it is, although it is very clearly Mayan, actually. Because one of the things they mention is they mention the spirit world Shababa, which is exclusively a Mayan concept.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very likely that it is supposed to be a Mayan culture. The thing about that is, uh, it is something that, unless you like, something that is kind of lost to a lot of people, and it kind of proves my point that I feel like you could think of like the kind of why these cultures were written this way. You can kind of think about it. Well, were they trying to send a message of like something was wrong, or was it just they maybe didn't do enough research? I feel that it is more of a research failure than a kind of like message failure because um the Mayan culture, like the Mayan cultures and the Aztec cultures, are very far away from each other. Like I believe that uh the Aztecs, the Nahua culture, like those are middle Mexico, I think. Whereas this is somewhere closer to like middle of South America, like if I remember correctly. Like there is a good distance apart between the two, and Cortez pretty much exclusively dealt with the Aztecs. So
Yeah.
there is no way that he would have been to both. So there is also a kind of a research failure point that I wanted to mention there. Um, but yeah, I feel like everyone's like, yeah, the sacrifices, they weren't the way that we commonly kind of think.
Blame the Spanish.
I do feel though, like the one thing I do like is that they never portray any of the villagers or like the member. Also, they call it El Dorado. Like the people of this village refer to it or this. I don't know what the term is, but essentially this
City.
area, the
It's a
city,
It's a city. It's a city.
refer to it as El Dorado, which is no, that's not how that would work.
It's a Spanish name.
Yeah. Um,
Also, if you were mentioning that where the Maya are specifically is essentially where Central America meets South America.
is that Yucatan Peninsula?
Yeah.
Or am I...
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the Yucatan
I wanted to say
Peninsula.
that, but I wasn't 100% certain.
You're right, it's the Yucatan Peninsula.
Okay. So, yes. I might have had to look this up for Hazeltown Story, but yeah. Um, so yeah, like there that is one. So I feel like my enjoyment of it is like I don't feel like they like it's a thing. It's like yeah, they kind of probably could have, they should have done more research. I feel if you were going to do something with these cultures, you should kind of make sure you got some of that stuff right. But if I'm thinking also of things of that era, like I was rethinking things like Pocahontas, for example, or other films that are dealing with like like cultures, I feel like this does it relatively well compared to some of those other ones.
Yeah, so actually that does make me want to mention. Yeah, so it never really feels super judgmental, aside from about the priest and the shit he preaches, which
Yeah.
you could argue that that's a whole different beast.
And again,
But,
that they didn't make any of the natives idiots.
Yeah, none of the natives are
Fools.
idiots. Hell, the chief is smarter than Tulio and Miguel,
Yes.
Yeah.
and Chell
So
is
is Chell.
incredibly crafty. Yeah,
Chelsea, yes,
also very horny.
yes,
but regardless, it definitely like there's no malice in it. There's definitely not.
they feel human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'd want to say is that yes, this could have done better, but also it could have done much worse. So I do feel like it does kind of I when I watch this movie, it's like, oh yeah, those thoughts do kind of exist. But overall, it's a very well done film. Like it is something that you can kind of put the brain to like you can put in the back burner, but do note that yeah, do make sure that if you are doing something like this, try and do a little better.
Also, that just reminds
Or
me of
robbed.
fuck. Just like as a bit of an aside, it reminds me of Gabriel Knight, where they genuinely tried to do a lot of research into Voodoo and Vidot. It's just they had the wrong books, basically.
Yep.
That could also be another case where they thought they were trying to do research, but it turns out the research themselves wasn't actually that great, and that was something that they were kind of outside of. It was outside of their pay grade to check
Yeah.
because they again
Mhm.
they do refer. They basically make Cortez super villainous, like they know that what he did was bad. So there's at least that, at least to me. It's not perfect, but it's definitely not. It's not. I don't feel like they were like trying to misconstrue it.
Mhm.
Um, So I think with that, we've kind of talked about this movie quite a bit. So let's go ahead and rank this. So we are going to rank this on our normal 1 to 21 scale,
Mhm.
with 1 being absolute mastercraft, and 21 being don't even bother. It's not even fun to ironically watch. So Axe, where would you put this on our 1 to 21 scale?
3.
I was
Probably
kind of well, go throw off guard with the thing that quick.
pretty fastest ranking for me to date. This is a good movie, and I gotta put this up there at least a 3.
Okay, Death.
6.
Okay, Prison.
Um, I'd say a 3 or a 4.
Okay, Torpo.
For once, I actually 100% agree with Axe. 3. I
All
mean
right.
that in the nicest way possible, Axe. I'm sorry.
Fuck you!
I just so often we're at odds with each other in ranking.
Nope, it's Death's turn this time to be the one person out. But yeah, I was pretty much thinking that exact region of 3 to 4. If you take
Mhm.
a look to see what we got here, in 3, uh, just to point out, like in just to kind of go low and then build up. From 6, we have stuff like Labyrinth, Mappy, the original Mortal Kombat, and Hunt for Red October. I would still put probably put this above those.
Yeah.
Also at 5, we have Game Center CX Season 1. I would still probably put that also above that.
Mhm.
Also, let's see, and at 4, we have Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and we have Ease. Um,
I'm putting it up on Mr. Lawrence. I'm sorry, but I have to
I've
say
not
those
seen
above.
Mr. Lawrence, but having seen Ys and Adol the Red and Adol the Red and Adal the Red,
Adult.
I guess I would change my answer to 3.
okay. Because at 3, we have Dirty Pair Project Eden, Ghost in the Shell, and the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movie.
Wow, funny. They're
Wow.
all animated and they're all pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose at least now we're balancing it out in terms of Eastern versus Western. They all actually do all have their own styles, though, which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. And
Universal
also,
language of horny.
yes. Oh, it's also
Yeah, they're
going
all
up.
well, except for Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner, they're all quite horny at number
You,
3. Yeah.
you can kind of give what's Opera Doc has a very specific form of
There's
horny.
definitely some thirst in that. I'll give you that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just to give the ceiling, at 2 we have Aliens and Pat Labor, the early days.
God, it's fucking hard to fix that habit, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Aliens is really good.
Aliens is really
Pat
good.
Labor, Pat Labor is also very good though.
Yeah,
So it's like,
it's
yeah. I think this is a fine spot for it.
Yeah,
I
three's good.
I think 3 is pretty good.
I don't know if I could put it up against Aliens, to be honest.
Yeah, that's punchy. That's a hard
Like, to put it into perspective, in terms of animated films, like my top 2 films are Spirited Away and Lilo and Stitch, right? And I would put this within my top 5. Like, this is a really good animated film.
Yeah.
Look, there's only one that I would really bat for number 1, and we're probably never gonna see that on here, so it's fine.
What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Paprika.
Ah,
That would be
That'd be a film.
that would be like the only thing I could see. Theoretically, you could almost bullshit your way through LSD into that, but
Nikki as well.
Yumineki, yeah. But yeah, that's also another thing.
Satoshi
yeah.
Kon was a fucking genius, and he went well before his time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll put it at 3 because seems to be where consensus is. Sorry, Death.
That's fine.
Let's see, and this is episode 34. And this came out in 2000. Director was Bob. Is that Bevo Bergson? I guess. Also, it's weird
Yeah.
because it has 3 directors on it. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah. Jeffrey Katzenberg is uncredited on this. I'll put Bevo Bergson because that's a good name. There it is. This was a theatrical movie. Which, by the way, one thing that I did that I was going to mention, I forgot during that last question was uh, I was like, when this was coming out, like I was in during like our social studies class, we were actually talking about South America and like Latin, like that area, and they actually encouraged us to go watch that movie.
Mm.
Just to give a level of the education system in Georgia in 2000, or at least the area that I lived in. It was not great.
Well, it's both more and less accurate than, say, Emperor's New Groove. If they told you to watch that.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
do that. That I watched on my own and that I enjoyed, but
Yeah.
that's nonetheless. Let's see that let's see, because for genre we have comedy, we have like kids. I don't know if there's kids.
I'd say it's comedy.
It's
Yeah, I
a
think
comedy
comedy.
adventure film.
Yeah.
I think it's more going for comedy. Also, I had to think what YNAD was, and I believe that is young adult.
Yeah.
Also,
Could almost make the argument that this was a young adult cartoon.
I feel like it's more going for comedy though.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of going through all these, like trying to remember, like what I think MSLCL. Did I put anything for that? I think it's miscellaneous, and also this is not the time for that. Tone. We could do the naughty tag.
That's
It's
fitting.
definitely naughty.
Yeah.
Let's do the naughty tag just for funsies. Content that I mean, I gotta put yikes just by
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
If anything, the final scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the before stuff, the priests, as you said.
Yeah. It's like it's horny, but it's not like
No, it's actually pretty tasteful about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Except for
Uh,
the
Said
occasional joke.
you'd have to wait for later DreamWorks movies for that.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea.
All right. Is there anything you want to bring up in music, charm, cinematography, storytelling, action, and artistry?
Your
Artistry,
mild-
Was a
music.
thumbs up.
Your mileage may vary for music.
No, the music's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
I'll give.
I'm
here,
getting outvoted, so I'll acquiesce.
There,
I still
there.
won't make it.
Oh, that's gonna break it, unfortunately. So
Yeah,
I'm
don't
gonna-
fucking break the table, dude. You do that enough already.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I was gonna put the thumbs up the asterisk, but
Also,
unfortunately,
thumbs up to charm.
Yeah,
Thumbs up to
so-
charm.
Thumbs up.
it was also great because, especially recently, I was thinking because I mean, for every one of these episodes, I have to make a thumb title or a thumbnail, and just thinking of all the different pictures I could do of this movie, because that's also a thing I don't think we mentioned. This is a very memeable movie.
Yeah.
This movie has several actually memes going through it. You got the both thing. You got Miguel playing the guitar,
Which I posted.
which is a very good gif. You got the guy telling the chief that Cortez is coming has recently become a meme. You got Chell in general. So yeah, this is definitely charm. I don't really think I could put the other things. Yeah. Yeah, I think the other things are probably good. Because the story, I mean, it's story, like not
It's
bad, but
simple.
it's simple.
It's simple.
The cinematography, like
I think the shot composition is like.
yeah,
I-
there's some.
I
There's
I
some
really like said, oh yeah, that's really impressive, but I think that it's very functional.
yeah, I
Really
I
good.
do kind of want to give it a thumbs up as well.
Yeah, like I don't think it did anything bad. So
Yeah.
Now, also, how would you define action, out of curiosity?
Like fight scenes.
Yeah,
It
okay,
does.
then this is...
Yeah, it's nothing noteworthy. For yay or nay, you might be able to argue for, um, like Made with Love.
I hesitate to say that for any sort of large production like this.
Yeah,
I did.
I don't know if I felt that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's just there's a lot of
For
yes,
nay,
yay
you
for
have like a
color palette.
racism tag.
mm-hmm.
No, that's what Yikes is for.
yep.
Oh.
So I'm looking
Clearly
here.
color palette for yay. Why is that in there?
Color. Wait, what? Are
I'm
you
looking at the
you
looking at the Media Delta Charms guide for yay and nay. One of them listed is color palette.
Oh, whoops. Well, like use of color. Because like not that we'd rank it, but I think of like Schindler's List or something like that. Like use of color in that movie, because that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
So you mentioned Schindler's List, and the only thing I can think of is Jerry Seinfeld making out during it.
See, here I was
in
thinking of
Seinfeld.
The Last of Us 2.
Let's see.
I don't think there's a whole lot to actually throw in here.
Nah.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything because the pacing's good.
Someone's got a fetish.
I was thinking that one, but I didn't.
I feel like that needs to be a charm.
It is.
It is.
It is. Someone's
It
got a
It can be
fetish.
under
use of
nay
charm.
though, even though I feel like in this case, you
Well,
know what? Never
No,
mind.
put under yay.
Because the thing is the thing that brought that on was Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm.
Look, it's not a
That-
problem if I agree with it.
Yes. No, I am voting for putting the fetish one in yay.
It has been put in yay.
It's not a problem if I agree with it.
All right, I think that's good for Road to El Dorado. It is a very good movie with some slight problems with it, but overall, it is still a very good movie, and I highly recommend that it be watched.
Hell yeah.
It is very enjoyable.
Yeah. So with that, now that we're done talking with that, Axe, is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I got my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/axeimmortal. You can find it in the liner notes.
Okay. Death.
Yeah, you can also find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/deathmaster780. Not
to make
Mixer
sure-
anymore.
Yeah, I need to make sure that that's
Updated.
fixed.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Mixer.
Rip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck me and everyone else who used that website, I guess.
No shit.
Yeah.
With no real warning, too.
Yep.
At a month's warning, it's officially shuttering on the 22nd.
Risen.
I don't really stream, so I don't really have anything to pitch, though I do join Torpo to irritate him on streams. I guess there's that.
All right. Torpo.
Twitch.tv/torpotypist and @torpotypist on Twitter. And I would like to plug the gate leading to my ancient Mesoamerican city to save it from the White Menace.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next week, if I remember correctly, yes, we are starting our look at season 1 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon from 1980s. Which, spoiler, I have never seen before, so that's going to be fun.
Good. Awesome.
Yes, so we will be watching that, and depending upon how much we like that, we'll determine whether or not we also watch the movie in the set. But nonetheless, that will be next week. We will be talking specifically about the cartoon. So, hope you tune in for that, and thank you all for listening.
Bye.
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 If you would like to look at the full list of rankings for yourself, please visit r3.ldp.life and go to the Media Delta List tab. If you would like to watch Media Delta's sister show, Retro Rank Rhapsody, you can either watch at youtube.ldp.life or by tuning into twitch.tv/loadedpuzzlo at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 2:30 p.m. on Saturdays, and 1 p.m. on Sundays. All those times are from the Eastern US time zone. If you would like to discuss this episode with the community, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which you can do so by going to discord.ldp.life. Thank you again for listening, and I hope you tune in for our next episode.